industry or the company that I'm going to be talking about is Lego. He said, we were a creative company, but there is no innovation. I think it's an interesting statement. We were a creative company, but there is no innovation. In fact, what happened was they were creative in the sense that they were kind of, going around different places, the SKUs, number of building blocks, number of designs of the blocks, that was exploding. There are a lot of ideas about marketing. They're kind of, creating, children's clothing with Lego branded. They started so many things, but it's not profitable. He said what they did was they started involving their fans and their consumers into the process. Because what they found was they're actually seeing creativity in their consumers more, and they were not tapping that. They were still thinking inside out from the firm and kind of building the product, building the kind of more and more products. The IP and the protagonist and the actors in the Lego movie are Lego characters. How do you connect? How do you use entertainment channel, which people anyway spend time on? How do you kind of integrate that to get your message across, right? You see what's happening? When they're building this ecosystem, what they're tapping, right? What they're actually looking at the creative pieces. There are so many people doing creative stuff around the topic that you're trying to solve, around the problem you're trying to solve. They are kind of have ideas, they are fans, or they are in some other industry which you have an opportunity to connect with them to get your message across. So they get all this entire ecosystem functioning. Lego orchestrates this ecosystem to do what? Get interesting ideas into this funnel, and then it finally goes into the markets and product group. They know what to build, and they build that. Similarly, education, women's education, again, one piece is awareness. How do you get the girl child educated? How do you make the mothers much more empowered? Because we can start with the broader topic of gender equality, but then we all know it stems from the fundamental issue is about women's education, right? And what steps would you take? And what are the main problems we have now? And what steps would you take for us to achieve something, a better grade in terms of women's education and awareness about women's education? Again, the question is, where would you tap? What kind of partnership would you make? If you want to create something like Lego, what would you do to solve this problem, right? And the third topic, which is kind of slightly different, is a little bit debatable, because it also directly cuts through the culture and our beliefs and everything, right? Which is legalization of prostitution. We can start with, are we for it or not? Okay, and was it fit here in India or not? Because the arguments are very clear, right? I mean, just earlier this year there was an article in Economist. We had a very nicely done. Technology is fundamentally changing every business. That's what I teach. That's my message. And the topic of this article was how technology is changing prostitution. One of the oldest, kind of professions. We don't want to call it profession, but fundamentally what is happening. And when I read that, it is very interesting. The things that came out of that was, in this whole process, what happens is there's so many people get exploited. When there is transparency with technology, that is the kind of summary of that article, then to some extent everybody is better off.